So everyone, welcome. It's so wonderful to see all of your faces, your unmasked faces, even better, even better. My name's John Barlow, and I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you, but many of you I have not met, and I hope we can fix that in the near future. But I had the pleasure of serving as the Director of Alumni and Constituent Relations here at Pittsburg State. I often argue with, I don't argue, I would never argue with our president, but I joke and say I've got the best job on campus, but I know Dr. Scott and Dr. Smith would beg to differ with me on that. But it's wonderful to be able to meet our alumni and to talk to our alumni and constituents about all the amazing things that are going on campus. Because even though we've been going through a pandemic the last year or so, this university has continued to do amazing things, and that's because of our wonderful leadership. And I know that is something that Dr. Scott and Dr. Smith will speak to this evening. So without further ado, I am going to go ahead and turn the floor over to our president, Dr. Scott. And I think all of you probably know this, but I always like to say it because it's a big deal to me as the alumni director. Our president and our provost are both gorillas, and they, you know what, that same blood runs through their veins that runs through ours. And so that's always exciting. And they understand this place, they understand the unique culture, and they understand why this is such an important place to us. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our president, Dr. Steve Scott.
Okay, thank you, John, and good evening, everybody. And Dr. Smith, just before we started, said we're all going to miss Wheel of Fortune. If that's 6:30 in this part of the country, it's Wheel of Fortune. So we sure apologize, but that just says what level of sacrifice you're willing to make to be a part of Gorilla Nation and join us. So really appreciate that. You know, I had a special opportunity this afternoon. Dr. Bryant called me. Of course, Dr. Bryant was president for 10 years. Had a birthday recently, and he probably wouldn't mind me telling you, he's 81 years old and he is in great shape. And he called me and he said, I've got a great niece that needs to find a school to go to, and I think she should look at Pittsburg State. So she came up with her parents from Imperial, California, and we spent about an hour visiting about Pittsburg State and what that could mean to her, and talked about the business program, the nursing program, pre-med. And you know, it reminded me as I thought about tonight, how important our alumni are as advocates and ambassadors for this institution. Now, you would expect the former president to be a strong ambassador for us, but each of you have played those roles as well. And that means a lot, whether it's over the fence or at church, you know, with a neighbor or church, that you're talking about Pittsburg State University and or to a relative, a niece, a nephew, a grandchild, and saying, you ought to take a look at Pitt State. You're making that recommendation is a big deal. So we really appreciate that. You know, I do want to mention, I know so many of you on the screen and haven't seen you in forever. And I don't know how your screen is, but Kendall Gammon is at the very center of my screen. So I don't know what that means, but it's got to be a good thing, you know, it's how this lined up. It must be karma. But I'm going to mention one person, and he is a person who likes a lot of attention, so that kind of fits. But Warren Deathridge is on the call tonight. And Warren Deathridge was on the search committee in 1988 when I was hired to be an assistant professor at Pittsburg State University. So if you really think I've messed up and driven this thing into the ground, you need to talk to Warren Deathridge, because he could have blocked me and this never would have happened. So Warren, great to see you. Hope Gail's doing well. And just a shout out to Warren Deathridge. That's kind of a neat history of this place. And yes, that's about 33 years ago. So I've been a gorilla for a long time, besides the fact that I was here from 1970 to 1974. And of course, my mother was here from 1938 to 1941. So that just tells you there's some pretty deep roots here. But it's great to see all of you here. And Howard and I have a real challenge in front of us, because we have a lot going on and we've got a limited amount of time to share that with you. But we want to talk to you a little bit about what's been happening at the campus. And I tell you, before I start, I met with a donor last week, had a nice lunch, and we talked about what was going on campus. He said, I'm just shocked. And I said, why are you shocked? He said, you guys are making progress. He said, I thought I'd hear a very different story from you when we got together for lunch. I think he thought he would hear about gloom and doom and can't get anything done, can't get any traction. And I think he knew down deep at Pittsburg State University, we're going to figure out how to get it done. And I think that's the story you'll hear tonight from Howard and myself. So I'm really pleased to share this time with Howard. I'm going to talk a little bit about capital projects. I'm going to talk about one of my least favorite topics, and that's Topeka, Kansas, and what's going on there because it has a big impact on us. And I'll do that briefly. A little bit about kind of the financial implications for it all. Lots and lots of moving parts. But Howard then is going to take the stage and talk about the academic side, our response to COVID, and some things that are going on within academic affairs, where you can imagine a number of adjustments have had to take place to make this all work over the last really 12 months that we've been involved in responding to COVID-19. So I'm going to start with capital projects because people like to hear about it. And a guy like Larry Weiss, he likes to really hear about it because he's in the construction business and he's with us today. Great supporter of the construction program over in the Kansas Technology Center. But we have been very blessed with some great support over the last 12 months to help us move forward with some really critical projects. The first one I want to talk about is McPherson Hall. Of course, that's our nursing building. And our nursing program is just stellar. Whether you talk about the pass rates, the retention rates, quality of the faculty, the federal dollars that are being attracted to the programs there, with people helping us like Senator Jerry Moran does a great job of really helping us build our program. Well, we have $6 million of private money that's been donated from 3 individuals that's going to allow us to build a simulation hospital within McPherson and remodel almost all of McPherson. So that building it was built in the 70s. It's certainly dated now, but when we walk away from that about a year from this fall, we'll really have a transformed building. So the simulation hospital is all about taking all those electronic simulators that we have, from a woman giving birth to a toddler to an infant to an elderly individual. We've got all these simulators. We're basically going to put them in rooms that look like hospital rooms, and they'll all be controlled, and they'll all add to this clinical experiences of our students. So that's a very exciting project. We just selected the contractor for that, and we're excited to move that forward. And we hope to be in that building in August of 22 with all those renovations. So very exciting. Kels College of Business, as several of you in this call are really interested now. I see Ken Brock there. Ken's been instrumental in helping us move that forward, very interested in that project. It's probably going to be about a $20 million project altogether. We are going to go to bid with that in late April or May. And we think we've identified the resources to get that done. Very, very exciting. And so, remember the business college is in old College High. Some of you might have gone to College High as your high school. Well, that building will be completely gutted and completely rebuilt, and it will look like and feel like a modern business building. Really an exciting project, about a $20 million price tag. So very, very excited about that. It's been a long time coming, but we are going to get there. Carney Smith Stadium. We're going to do quite a few projects this summer with Carney Smith Stadium. We replaced the turf. We have a new video board over there. We have a new football coach, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But we're going to do substantial upgrades to Carney Smith Stadium that I think you'll find pretty pleasant, those of you who can get to our games. And if you've ever sat through a volleyball game at Pittsburg State University and John Lance Arena or commencement, you would remember that it was not air conditioned. Well, due to a $1.9 million gift, we will be air conditioning John Lance Arena. And we'll put a great big video board in there. Now, some of you will be unhappy because we'll probably run a few ads on it. So some of our fans don't like our ads, but that's how it all works. And if you don't believe me, check out the yellow pages, right? That's how that all works. It's called capitalism. So we'll try to limit that, make that work for everybody, but we're very excited about having access to air conditioning. I know the Robs really enjoy our basketball program, volleyball program, and I certainly I'm going to enjoy having air conditioning at a May commencement. So that's a really exciting project. And then we're really focused on something that's really almost unheard of in higher education. We're actually focused on not just renovating and updating, but we're going to reduce our footprint. So some of you in here in this call may have gone to school here and lived in Shirk Hall or Shirk Annex. Well, if we have our way about it, we're going to tear those down. We've got more space than we need in some areas, and we need to expand a little bit in other areas. But over time, I don't know if you're this way, but if you added a closet or two to your house, do you think you'd fill them up? Well, that's what happens. We build a building and then we fill up the building that we exit. So we're going to take space offline, and that's never been done before. And actually the regents have changed the rules on that, and it's really going to help us do that without a loss of funding. And actually we'll be able to use some funds to make that happen. So that's pretty exciting. And normally you wouldn't think that's a big deal, but it is a big deal. Just on the funding side, our enrollment was down a little bit in the fall. It was down 3.7%. It tracked about that in the spring. Some of you live in the immediate area. The community colleges were off as much as 11%. The average was about 11. So some are off even more than that. So it's a very difficult environment right now, but we are optimistic for the fall and optimistic going forward. State funding is a challenge in Kansas. I suppose those of you in other states, everything's just smooth sailing and no financial issues. But in the state of Kansas, the governor recommended a substantial cut in our budget, and the Senate has helped put some money back. But we're still about $10 million short as a system of getting back to last year's funding. So we're hopeful in the final days of the legislature that those dollars will be restored. Federal funding, and I'll mention this, somebody's asked a question about it. We're going to have substantial amount of federal funding come to us through the stimulus plan. And as a citizen, as a taxpayer, and I just had my taxes done the other day, it's really, it's not as targeted as I think some people would hope that it would be. I can agree with that. But we're going to have substantial amount of money that's going to come to us to support students. Much of it will go to students in terms of direct grants to them. And some of it we'll utilize to respond to the virus. And some of it we're going to be allowed to use to backfill for lost revenue. And that is very, very big for our financial well-being. Dr. Smith and Doug Ball, our CFO, they've really done a great job managing the expense side of Pittsburg State University. This is about athletics, it's about academics, but it's also a business. And for us to make sure we can pay the bills and don't spend out of our reserves, it's really, really important. So over the last number of years, we have actually improved our financial position, not allowed it to deteriorate. And that's something as an alum, I hope you take pride in, because our responsibility is, we're stewards. Our responsibility is to look out for the long-term interests of this institution and make sure it's going to be here and serve Southeast Kansas and beyond for many, many years. When we talk to alumni groups, John and I talked about this earlier, we always like to talk about athletics because athletics is the front porch of the university. And the reason we wear the gear is oftentimes connected to the athletics programs. And we're really proud of the programs, and we're really proud of the kind of facilities we put in place, the compliance we do in terms of following the rules. Jim Johnson is on the board of governors for the NCAA right now. You can imagine they've got some pretty interesting meetings with all they're dealing with. A few years ago, I led Division II as the chair of Division II's governance structure. So we're really involved at that level. We also want to be involved at competing at the national level. So I want to talk just real briefly before Dr. Smith talks to you about a couple of things. One is football. Over 160 teams play football across the nation at the Division II level. Only 11 of them played a single game last fall. We played 4 games. On one Saturday in November, we were the only Division II team playing. We were playing Stephen F. Austin and their FCS. Another week, we were only one of 2 institutions across the country playing football. We're pretty proud of that in the fact that we figured it out, even with the virus, we figured out how to get the kids on the field, competing, staying safe. And we really had really good luck with that. I mean, it's pretty amazing, actually. The MIAA conference, the athletic conference we're in, scheduled 616 men's and women's basketball games. Guess how many we played? Every single one of them. There's no other conference in the country that did that. I don't think the Big 12 got every single game in. We got every game in and a postseason tournament. I happen to be the chair of the conference right now, and I think we were committed to seeing how much normalcy we could drive into things and not be pushed into the locker rooms and not compete. We want to be able to allow our kids to compete and play. So indoor track and field, Russ Jewett's just a gem of a coach and gem of a person. And he just won a conference championship on the men's side. He was also 5th in the nation, and the women were 10th in the nation on the indoor track and field. So we continue to compete at very, very high levels. Volleyball is supposed to play in the fall. Couldn't do it. So they're playing in the spring. They're playing a schedule of conference teams right now. Basketball, our women had a good season. Our men won 5 in a row at one point, and we'd never done that in the last 17, 18 years. And then we turned around, we lost 5 in a row and ended up outside of the conference tournament, certainly not where we want to be. But outdoor track and field's underway right now. I think this Friday we've got a big track meet scheduled for high school kids on campus. Saturday will be a college meet, and we've got baseball underway. Baseball first pitch was at 5 o'clock tonight up at Washburn. Not that I keep track of all these things. And softball's underway as well. So good stuff happening. And you heard me say, trying to drive as much normalcy as we possibly could, live with the virus, take care of people, but really do the kinds of things we're supposed to be doing at Pittsburg State University to serve our students and serve the community and to serve the region. So that's a pretty quick run through. But with that, Howard's going to take over now and talk to you a little bit. Howard and I have worked together a long time. We go way, way back. And it's been a blast to work with him, alongside him now in his role as the provost. And, you know, you just think about people who took on new roles and then shortly thereafter, a pandemic showed up. That's pretty tough. But boy, he has really stepped up and gotten it done and has led the faculty and the whole academic side of the institution. Has just done a great job. And of course, as John said, he is a gorilla. So Howard, I'm going to turn it over to you. And then following this, we'll respond to some of the questions. Howard.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. And it's just great to be a part of this gorilla gathering tonight. Like Dr. Scott, I actually see a number of people on the screen that I've met and I know, and we've even gone to school together. So it's just exciting to continue to be a gorilla. You know, one of the things that was mentioned when I keep saying Dr. Scott, I call him Steve all the time. So I'm gonna probably, as we go through this, go back and forth a little bit. But you know, it's you know, when we first got into the addressing the COVID situation, we sat down as a group, as a leadership team, and we talked about what was critical and what was important. I think some of you have probably seen some of the town halls that have been held, but critically important was the health and safety. That was number one. You know, we have a responsibility for our students and our staff, and we take it very seriously. So that was one of our guiding principles. Another was transparency, and that was making sure that people knew some of the discussions that were going on, some of the challenges that lay before us. But importantly, in academic affairs was the third principle, and that was preserving progress towards a degree. You know, when the students have goals, and certainly it's an investment not only on their part, but typically it's a family situation that's invested in this. And so it was critical to us to come up with plans that would allow students to continue to progress towards those degrees. You know, a lot of times when I talk to the incoming freshmen and their parents, I talk a little bit about our general education package and how important that is. But it's not just the student that's sitting there to get the degree, it's actually the employers and our advisory groups that help drive us, because we have a responsibility to create those that workforce and to train people to go out and take on positions that people have entrusted us to do. So when we got into this, it was important for us to maintain quality of programs and instruction. Fortunately, we received some funding, some federal funding, that helped us do some things that we would like to have done anytime, but it allowed us to do it because of the COVID situation. In the summer prior to the fall last year, we did lots of training with our faculty and staff. You know, over the years, we've talked a lot about whether this campus is a brick campus or a click campus. You know, you've probably heard that term before, and you've probably heard about other institutions having initiatives that they felt like they ought to have more types of course delivery that wasn't necessarily face-to-face. Prior to COVID, we were about 90% face-to-face and 10% online. And one of the things as we talk a little bit, I'll give you some definitions, because I'm not sure that it's common throughout all of academics right now even. But as we got into COVID in the fall, we started off with 56% of our courses that were totally face-to-face. And I say that because I think there was a misunderstanding sometimes that everything was online. Well, that wasn't the case. We had basically then other courses that were in some type of modified course delivery, which was a combination of online and a combination of face-to-face. We had 20% online. So ultimately, 80% of our students were getting some type of face-to-face interaction. It's just that 56% were in a total face-to-face course, if that makes sense. And so as we developed that, we needed to work on the skill sets of our faculty. Not everybody had taught in that particular manner, but they came back in the summer, went through the training, modified their courses, and then in the fall, we implemented it. But again, it was one of those things, it's not as simple as just saying, okay, come to class because it's face-to-face, or come to class because it's a face-to-face and online type of situation. What we ran into in some situations, because of class sizes and social distancing, we reduced the size of the classes. But at times we actually had half of our class out because they had been exposed to COVID. So what happened then is that faculty member had to do 2 sets of instruction, or they had to modify in order to instruct the students that were quarantined as well as those that were in the classroom. So those numbers are kind of fluid depending on what occurred in the fall. I did some focus groups with some of our students in the fall, and those were great. Our students are just awesome. I got to tell you, you just get really, I get passionate when I get to talk to students, because that's what it's about. And as I talked to them, they told me, you know what, we really believe you're doing the best that you can do. I thought that was a great statement, by the way. But the piece is, this wasn't what we expected. And I was talking to freshmen because I was really concerned about their experience leaving high school and then coming into a university college situation. And they provided some great input to us. And then we talked to our student success people about retention and how we can involve students. The biggest thing they missed was interaction, limited interaction. And the people that had the most interaction were those that were involved in some type of program. So if they happened to be in a music program or an athletic program, they actually had more experiences with other students and some of our students that you might think of as traditionally coming here, moving into the dorm and then going to classes. So we made adjustments for that in order to help students on campus. One of the things that we do here at Pitt State that I think is outstanding is we look at the whole picture. Students come here certainly to get those degrees, and I'm in academic affairs, so I'm not going to undervalue that piece. But a lot of times we talk about the living environment too. They want exposure to things. They want to participate. They want to see plays. They want to be in clubs. They want to, all those kinds of things, those co-curricular pieces that go with it. So we worked on beginning to build that. So we did a good job with that. And in the spring, our numbers basically fell out the same then for our instruction. About 56% face-to-face, about 20% online, and then the rest was a modified delivery of some combination of that. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions lately too. What do you think about the fall? How's that going to lay out in the fall? Where it's landing right now is it's probably going to be about 15% online. And if you recall, pre-COVID, we were 10. And honestly, in that pre-COVID, we had wanted more people to do more online courses to be competitive in some areas. So in a way, we got the training we needed and some motivation to do some of those things and some experiential base for folks so that we can do that coming out of this particular scenario. One of the, so in the fall, we'll end up then with about 85% with some type of face-to-face interaction. I think that's important for people to know and for our students to know as they come back, because I know our community embraces our students. They like to see them downtown. They like to see them involved in things. So we will have students on campus. Actually, a good sign right now is our housing contracts are up. So that's a good sign for us. Our CARES numbers, which is our freshmen, what we do in the summer to look at, and we're continuing to watch them because we have some concern. But interestingly enough, what we found the other day is we have a number of students that have now put deposits on housing that haven't signed up for the CARES. And I got to tell you, that's an unusual situation because in the CARES, it's about $20 to go to CARES, but it's about $145 to put a deposit down on housing. So they have to have some type of commitment here. So we're doing a great job following up on those students and making sure that we can get them here to campus. Instructionally, we have maintained quality. You know, you look, our nursing scores came back the other day. We were #2, and you got to understand our nursing folks on those test scores. They are competitive. I mean, just ask them about it. And it was by like 0.08%. And so they now have a target to get that taken care of. But for our standard tests like that, all of our students are still excelling at the same level as pre-COVID. We haven't missed a beat with that. Now, that's not to say that the experience hasn't been different. So as we go into the fall, and I think that's one of the questions that was that somebody asked, we are going to walk out of this. We didn't run into this, but we're going to walk out of it, and we'll relax some things that we're doing. One of the things with COVID that we also did was reduce the class sizes. And as the county and as the state relaxes some of those standards, and we're going to follow CDC guidelines still. That's been one of our principles as well. We will begin then to open up some of the campus, you might say, and open up some of the activities some more. We're hoping that things continue in the trend that they are right now. I don't know where you're at, but one of the things I found out recently, I work with a group of provosts across the nation, is that it's unique to each area. And to a certain extent, it's almost a little bit unique even in the state to certain areas as to what they're experiencing. So I don't want to assume I know what it's like where you are at, because I know some of you are from other states and other areas of the country. But here we're going to continue to monitor that and keep health and safety and keep transparency and keep students moving towards those degrees. One of the exciting things that came out of this was commencement in the fall. I can't even talk about it without getting excited. You know, we had 8 commencements. It was one of the neatest experience ever. By accident, I'm gonna be honest here. By accident, we came up with something that parents and students just loved, and that was the parents walked with the student to get the diploma. It was huge. I never had so many parents and students say thank you. And so we're gonna do that again in the spring. Right now, we're looking at some of the things that we couldn't do in the fall. We're probably gonna again relax a few things, maybe have a few more guests than we did in the fall. But the spring commencement has been modeled after that, and we believe it will be just as good as the one that was in the fall, with a few little tweaks in here to make it somewhat better as well. Another piece I just wanted to mention was what we're doing with admissions, because enrollment always becomes a big piece in some of the discussions. Right now, our applications are up, but I have to, a disclaimer with that is, one of our interventions with COVID was we took off the application fee. Interestingly enough, even for students, a $25 or a $30 application fee sometimes is a barrier. Today, I was on a conference call with Kansas Department of Commerce talking about broadband in Kansas. And it happened to be 3 provosts on there, KU, myself, and Emporia State. And one of the interesting things that everybody had in common was that we still have lots of first-generation students and lots of students that can be a challenge for them. And so that has opened up our number of potential students, and we're working those students right now to get them engaged on campus here and hopefully enrolled in the fall. So our application numbers are up. Our CARES numbers we had a deficit of about 90 students compared to last year a month ago, but we've cut that in half already. I think we can close that gap. Pre-COVID, we actually had some really good numbers. We really were looking good. We think we're getting back to that. Our admission office has done some really neat things. Have any of you seen any of the yard signs that says, "Welcome to Gorilla Nation"? Has anybody seen those? Okay. I wish you had. We've been doing that with every freshman that signs up for CARES. Our recruiters go out, or some of our alums in those areas that will take those signs out and they'll put them in the student yard. And we've gotten a lot of good feedback on that. You've probably seen it from other institutions. It is something we picked up from others. We've upgraded our packets of information that go out to students. They have our logo, they have our split face. we're trying to put things in people's hands to get them engaged early on with being here at Pitt State. One of the things that I find exciting too from what Dr. Scott just mentioned, and I just have to say thank you, and I know some of you are involved in this. You know, our folks at Pitt State, and I go back to that living and learning environment, they like the whole package here. And a good example would be that simulation hospital. Some of the people that put money into that simulation hospital are huge athletic people. And at Pitt State, we like both, we like the whole package. So we have folks that they certainly want our academic programs to be the best that they are, but they want that experience to be the best as it is. So I say thank you to everybody for being involved in that. Something that came up, and a question that actually was on here, I just wanted to mention because I think there was a little confusion when it first came out, is recently we've done some we've addressed low enrollment in some programs. And Dr. Scott mentioned a little bit ago, KBOR's initiative to reduce the footprint on campus, because obviously it's not as, they don't feel like we need it as much as we did. And if our enrollment's not what it was, and what we've done, even responding with the modified course deliveries, we may not need as much brick as we once did, but we still need great, in certain areas, we still need it because we need to improve it. But we did actually discontinue some programs recently. And just to be clear, discontinuing, when you're looking at low enrollment from a board perspective, has to do what they call SIP codes. And SIP codes are classification of instructional programs. And so when they see one that's not generating the number of major graduates, they flag it and say you need to address it. So we looked at those. But what we did with the large portion of those, we merged them then into a degree because they actually happen to be education programs. And so what happens then is it becomes an emphasis. For instance, a math teacher will not get a BSED, but they will get a Bachelor's of Science in Math with an education emphasis. They can still go teach just the same as they could 2 years ago when it was a BSED. So we didn't lose that path for students to go down, okay? I just want to be clear on that. Those paths are still there. There's still opportunity for them. And in some cases, then we advocated for some of the programs, while they may have had a low enrollment compared to that SIP code, they are vital to this university. Perfect example is our music program. Our students want to participate and hear those kinds of things. They want to be in the Bicknell. We want to see a marching band. We want to see some of the programs that come out and participate in those things. So in that case, that's serving the mission. So we advocated to keep those kinds of programs as well. So I think it's just important that you know that on a regular basis, we're assessing our programs and we're assessing who we are and where we want to go. The last thing I want to do, and before I hand it back to Dr. Scott, is I'm just going to share something that meant a great deal to me lately. And I hope it means a great deal to you, because this is all of us got this. And I don't know if you can see this, but this is a thank you card. And this is from a retiree. And she's been here for some time. And my heart just felt so intense when I read this thing, because she starts out talking about how I made a great decision to come to Pitt State to work. And she says, I'm going to be leaving now, but I'm going to take this place with me. And she talked about her experience here. She talked about her students here. She talked about the alums that are out there. When I'm not feeling good, I'm picking this card up and I'm reading it, because it is what Pitt State is. It exemplifies who we are as a team and who we are as a nation, as a guerrilla nation. So there's a little bit of background on academic affairs. I probably went longer than I should, but thank you for letting me share a few things. I'll stand for some questions here in a minute as well.
That's good, Howard. Appreciate that. You know, presidents often talk about buildings, and then provosts talk about the academic piece and the faculty. And it's true, Howard's seen this as well. You go to an alumni event, it's pretty rare for someone to say, how's McCrae Hall doing? Right? But they will say, how's Susan Marchant doing? And those are the connecting points. And I think that's a really, he made that point very well. I didn't hear you say, Howard, how many Regents institutions were able to pull off a commencement in the fall?
One.
Oh, really? Just
Uh-huh.
us? Yeah. Okay. I just thought I'd point that out there. We're very competitive. Howard and I are competitive with each other. We even compare how much RAM we have in our computers and how, hard drives and everything else. But we think that just makes us better when we compete like that, and we compete with other institutions. So a couple of questions are on the floor here, or at least have been entered into this earlier. I think people had opportunity to ask questions, and I'm gonna read one of those questions or kind of paraphrase it and respond. We'll try to do this quickly. But we've already missed Wheel of Fortune, so you're just out of luck on that. I apologize. But the question is from our good friend Reed Davison down in Phoenix, maybe Scottsdale, and he asked about PSU's position regarding the Kansas legislature digging into this thing called the name, image, and likeness issue in college athletics. And really what that's about is allowing students to be compensated. And if you want just an example, you could say, well, what if we have a really good quarterback and the local muffler shop says that young man's going to be doing our commercials? Well, in the past, you couldn't do that. That young man couldn't do the commercials. But now, if this all passes, if this all goes into place, that could happen. I don't know what the offensive lineman will think about that. They might decide to take a pass every once in a while, or just kind of let somebody through. But Reed, to answer your question, I don't like it. I don't think it's going to be good for college athletics. I don't think it's going to impact Division II as much as Division I. And I think it's one of those things that's just it's got so much momentum. And you see the salaries of these big time coaches, and Bill Selfs was just recently announced, basically a contract for life. I don't know if anybody has one of those in this group. Contract for life, millions and millions of dollars. And so you see the excesses there. And then the players are saying, what about us? And you saw it last night. The NCAA makes about $1 billion a year in March Madness in a 3-week period of time. Now that funds all the non-revenue sports and championships. It does a lot of good. They contribute $40 million to Division II to run all of our championships and have a great Division II set of athletic programs. But Reed, I hate to tell you this, we're headed down this path, and I just don't think it's going to be very good for us, but I don't think there's any way we could stop it. Senator Jerry Moran, who's a Kansas senator, is very involved in trying to create some national legislation that would bring some coherence to it. The worry is that Florida has a law that starts on July 1st. Kansas is looking at a law. Other states are looking at laws. If you have a patchwork, is the student going to start shopping around based on where the best compensation package is as a college player? And really, we're talking about two sports primarily: men's basketball and football. And in some areas, UConn and Stanford, Baylor, you could be talking about women's basketball. But the Olympic sports should have very little impact on. So just a little bit about that. Someone did ask what my favorite experience was, or best experience on campus. It kind of connects to what are you most proud of. And I will say the Bicknell Center was quite an addition to the campus, and it would be hard to argue with not talking about the Bicknell Center. And it kind of relates to what I said about Howard and faculty. It's really not about buildings, it's what happens in them. So you think about the ribbon cutting at the Bicknell Center and opening that facility, and then what happened? Bill Clinton came and spoke. Mitt Romney came and spoke. Laura Bush came and spoke. Soledad O'Brien, Southeast Kansas Symphony plays on that stage. We've had, I bet, 8 or 9 Broadway shows in that building. We think those are transformational experiences for our community that didn't exist before. And how long is that going to go on? Well, once we get them resumed, it's going to go on for decades. And so really proud of that, and really proud of what that means for this campus. And some of you were on this campus back in the 70s when Carnegie Hall existed. Howard and I went to some events there and concerts. This is an upgrade, Howard, wouldn't you say, from Carnegie Hall?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is too. So that'd be a highlight certainly, but there's a lot of other things too, and I like to think I've made some really good hires over the years, and I think Howard Smith's one of those. So I think that's something I'm very, very proud of as well. The team we have, and Howard alluded to that, we've got a great team. Hey, somebody asked about attendance for football. Our hope is we play football. Our hope is we play a whole schedule, and our intentions would be that you get to sit on those new bleachers and everything's all spruced up and you get to enjoy guerrilla football. That would be our goal. That's our hope. And we'll just have to see. If we have a fourth wave, things will change. And Howard regularly says, hey, you've got to be ready to pivot because we just don't know where this might go. But our intentions right now are to plan for that. Howard, somebody asked how much money we were getting from the stimulus package. And we've got like 3 different packages that have come our way. The instructions or how we can use them are very fuzzy, but there's going to be significant dollars, and it could be as much as $18 million, with half of it going back to students. It's real money. It's real money. So we'll take good care of it. We're very careful with how we spend our dollars, and it's certainly going to help us navigate the next couple of years. Howard, do you see any other questions there?
Yes, Dr. Scott, there's one that came in. What strategies are in place to increase minority student enrollment?
Yeah, that's a good question, and Howard is probably best positioned to answer that. I'm going to answer it from a kind of a structural standpoint, and then Howard's got some targets he might be able to talk about. But one thing we've done this last year in the wake of the social justice issues that have risen across this country, and as we see in the trial going on in Minneapolis right now, and concerns about everybody having access to the promise of America, we did some reorganization with Howard's help. We created a position of Chief Diversity Officer and Assistant Vice President for Diversity, and that's Deetra Rose, and she's been with us for a number of years. And we gave her a broader assignment really across the campus to help us diversify our student body, which in some ways is happening organically. Also diversify our faculty and staff and make sure our curriculum is where it needs to be. We've got some work to do in that area, but recently Howard worked with the Director of Admissions to really lay out some targets within that area as well. Howard?
Yeah, we've set metrics and targets and numbers for people to get to. One of the things that Deetra has particularly been helpful with us in the last year, of course, this last year with COVID has not been, it's just not been a recruiting year like you might think. One of the, with diversity, we were sharing a person, actually the diversity office and admissions, so that we were getting more input into how we are approaching students to get here. I did talk the other day with Kathleen too. One of the things that's fallen off this year is the Kauffman Scholars Program is going away. And for years that gave us lots of opportunity. So we're going to do some work with trying to create other opportunities. Sorry. Okay. And with that particular program, so we've set targets in those areas and also looking at scholarships and ways to incentivize in order to help our campus become more diverse.
It's a university commitment, and we will continue to move it forward. And there's a lot of negatives out of the pandemic, but one of the greatest negatives is a couple, I guess, that'd be that our underrepresented populations have been particularly hard hit by the pandemic itself, just in terms of their health and their well-being. And I think we all know that. Their access to vaccines has been hindered, has not been as successful for the broader population across the country. And it's also the case that those students have been less successful or had fewer opportunities to stay in school, to be in school, and to be recruited. So we are going to have to go the extra mile to make sure all students have access to Pittsburg State University. We represent the diversity in the community and the diversity in the state, really in the nation. We've got work to do. I appreciate that question. And, just as an example, I'm going to give a commencement speech here when is that, Howard? About 3.5 weeks. It's pretty close.
April 30th.
Yeah, April 30th. So everybody's standing during my speech, so it's a very short speech, right? Well, I'm going to address 2 things. One, we've survived the pandemic, but also there is social injustice in this country. And we hope that our graduates are going out and they're prepared to address it and be engaged and help make this world a better place. And I do quote our youth poet, who just is an incredible poet. And I use some of her language to really talk about how we need to create harmony in this country and be kind to each other. And I think we've lost some of that. So very, very important issue. And thanks for that question. John, any other questions? I know we're going maybe a little longer than you wanted, but or maybe
Well, no, it's that's good. That's fine. That's fine. Well, one question that you briefly addressed, but football. You were at the spring scrimmage on Saturday, and you were just commenting to me before the meeting started. You were impressed. So maybe you could chat about that briefly.
I'm glad to. I think we all have this sense of I don't know if we're desperate, maybe it is, to be together. We want to be at events. We want to be together. We want to look across the aisle or down the bleachers and see somebody we know and see them respond how we're responding, have that shared experience. And this past Saturday, we had our traditional spring football game, a spring scrimmage in essence. And, you know, the offense suits up and the defense suits up, and then they bang around on each other for an hour and a half. And I don't know what the numbers were, but really the West Side was pretty full. And we had students there, we had families, we had parents of the players there, and we probably suited out 120 student athletes. And it was a gorgeous day. It was so fun to be out. And we have our new coach, Brian Wright, who joined us from the University of Toledo. And he's really an impressive guy. He's pretty intense. He's very intent on winning. He's very intent on following the rules. And he's very intent on discipline. And Darlene's with us tonight. And Darlene and I have had a number of conversations about making sure our coaching staff reflects the faces and the backgrounds of our players. And we have 3 minority coaches now in football. And that is absolutely unheard of for us. So Glenn McLaren, her late husband, was a real strong advocate for that, and we've made fits and starts with that. But Coach Wright was committed to it and got it done. So really excited about that. Just excited about the quality of what he's bringing to the program, and we're optimistic for a really good fall football season. It'll be fun.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Any other burning questions before we release? Who am I to release the president?
Well, John, I was just looking at the group and see if there's anybody I need to give a hard time who I haven't. There's Mark Johnson, Scott Casebowl. Where's Casey Casebowl?
Casey's on here somewhere.
Is he?
Yes.
And then you don't even want to get George Lampy started. He'll just tell you stories and make us all laugh. All right, George, great to see you. But what a great group. Belinda had a lot to do with my son moving through school. So Belinda, good to see you. But what a great turnout, and just glad to be here. And Howard, thank you for doing this. And this is kind of fun to do this together. We've never done one together.
That's true. They send us out individually.
We can't be in the same car, I guess, or the same airplane.
I appreciate this opportunity to interact with everybody as well. It's great to get that opportunity just to connect. There's some new faces here and new folks, so thanks for letting us be a part of this evening and joining.
You bet. Have a good rest of the evening, and John, thank you again.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Dr. Scott and Dr. Smith, and you two have a wonderful evening.
Okay, thank you guys. See ya.
Well, friends, don't go anywhere. We're not quite done yet because I mentioned we've got some stuff to give away, but once again, I just want to echo how great it is to see everyone who is on the call this evening, and we have I saw her on here earlier. We have one of our recruiters, Brandy Brenner, is on here for the admission office. And I worked in the Office of Admission for about 8 years. And, something that Dr. Scott often says, and I always like to echo this, is, no matter how many wonderful admission representatives we have out there throughout the Midwest and throughout the country, we cannot cover all the ground that we need to cover. And our alumni truly are our best advocates for recruiting students here at Pittsburg State University. So certainly if any of you are aware of whether it's a grandchild or a niece or nephew or a child or the kid next door that you think might have a good experience at Pittsburg State like you did when you were here, please don't hesitate to reach out to me because I am more than happy to connect that individual with the right folks in the Office of Admission. We have a new admission director, Scott Donaldson, who's been on board for a couple of years. He's just doing a really tremendous job. So we're excited to expose lots and lots of different types of students to the university. I think our reach is going even broader than it used to. For many reasons, financial reasons, we would just have to concentrate on, maybe a 2-hour drive to Pittsburgh, but we're recruiting much more in Texas and really throughout the country. And we really find that, even for those of you who are out on the coast, that many of the programs that we have are so unique and our prices, even our out-of-state prices, are so reasonable that students can often find that they come to Pittsburg State and they're paying less money for out-of-state tuition than they would for in-state tuition in their own state. And just some really amazing programs here. So, we can show you pictures and talk all day long about all the great things going on, but my hope for all of you truly is that you'll have an opportunity to make it back on campus sometime when things settle down with the pandemic. Maybe homecoming, maybe sooner, but we absolutely would love to show you around the campus and the improvements that we've made and how things have grown, particularly over the last 5 years. Just really tremendous strides, not only on campus, but in the community of Pittsburgh. So it's an exciting place to live right now. And as Dr. Scott and Dr. Smith said, the university's leadership has really done a tremendous job of getting us through some really, really challenging times over the last 12 or 13 months. So certainly a place that I'm proud to be affiliated with. And for those of you who are alumni, I hope that you feel the same way. The Pitt State magazine hit mailboxes last week. So I hope that everybody on this call got the Pitt State magazine in the mail. If you didn't, if you don't get it this week, shoot me a message and we'll double check and make sure that we've got the correct address. My office also, hey, there we go, Floyd. Thank you, sir, for holding that up. That's what it looks like. And my office sends out an e-newsletter once a month on the first of the month. Danielle Driscoll, our assistant director, does a tremendous job with that. So if we have a good email address for you, that is something that you should be getting once a month, and that highlights different stories and updates about what is going on at the university as well. So if you're not getting that once a month, either we don't have the correct email address for you, or it's somehow ending up in your junk mail, which happens as well. So keep that in mind too. We'll send a follow-up email tomorrow with some hyperlinks to some of the different programs that are available to you as alumni through the Alumni Association and different things that we offer. Really more than we really have time to talk about this evening. But one of the things that I do want to mention is our license plate program. And many of you are outside of the Midwest, but we do have official Pittsburg State University plates in Kansas, Missouri, and now Oklahoma, just in the last year. And we give away tens of thousands of dollars in scholarships. I believe it was over $60,000 last year from those license plates. And so it's a win-win. It's great public relations. It's great PR to get the split face and the name of Pittsburg State University out there, but it also raises scholarship dollars for new incoming legacy freshmen. So legacies, students whose parents or grandparents came to Pittsburg State University. So that's a program we're very proud of. And, we've really tried this year. We have not really been able to be out on the road visiting our alumni. Typically, we would have seen thousands and thousands of alumni by this point in the year. But we've been doing these virtual gatherings about one a week. And although it's not as good as seeing you in person, it does allow people like our friend from Alaska tonight, or our friends from Maryland, to hop on to a call when typically, unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to make it out to your area because it's a little off of our beaten path. So it's great to see some new faces and some interact with some individuals that we haven't gotten a chance to talk to. So we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us this evening. So before I give some goodies away, does anybody have any burning questions? Okay, so it was mentioned earlier that we are delivering fried chicken. You know, our alumni are crazy about Southeast Kansas fried chicken. It's so unusual, but we had an idea last semester to work with Chicken Annie's to deliver fried chicken to our alumni because we pre-boxed and we knew that we couldn't sit down and have dinner with folks. So we took 350 chicken dinners up to Kansas City. We're taking 250 chicken dinners to Wichita on Thursday this week. My boss, Kathleen Flannery, had the idea. You know, everybody loves the Mall Deli in Pittsburgh, those of you who've been around for the last 20 years or so. And we are delivering creamy Italian dressing from the Mall Deli as well this year. So we're trying to come up with these little innovative ways that we can still interact and touch our alumni in some capacity, but we certainly have a hope that things will be a little bit more normal this summer, and we're going to be able to get back out there and do some of the things that we've done in the past as well. So, okay, friends, so I've got some stuff to give away here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down my list, show some names while Dr. Scott and Dr. Smith were speaking. So if you're excited about winning something, feel free to unmute and scream and wave your hands, or you can just smile to yourself, knowing that this will come in the mail to you, okay, sometime in the next week. So let me go down my list here. All right, first off, Lois Carlson and Jim, we have a Pitt State mug for you. Brand new mugs just came in the mail, and we've got some coffee in it too. Gorilla Roast from Signet right here. So that's going to be coming in the mail to you guys here very soon. The next mug with coffee is going to our friend Herb Stevens down in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Herb, I hope you're doing well.
Very good. Thank you.
Absolutely. This will be coming your way, my friend.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. We've got a Pitt State umbrella. Floyd and Connie, that's coming your way out to Maryland. So hopefully that will be something that is useful to you guys. Okay. Next, I've got a Pitt State cup, and that is going to go to Darlene McLaren. So congratulations to you, Darlene. Okay. Sarah Kerfman. Sarah Kerfman, we've got a Pitt State blanket coming your way. Pitt State blanket coming your way. This baby is soft. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking notes at the same time. I'm a one-man show here tonight, friends. All right, Pitt State coasters. Pitt State coasters. Got the Pitt State gorilla statue on it. And Reed Davidson, those are coming your way, sir. So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Are you going to be down in Arizona a little while longer if we put those in the mail this week?
Yeah, that'd be fine. We don't leave until midday, so.
Okay. Good deal.
Well, thank you again. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's great. It's great to see. It feels like it's been forever. All right. We've got a Pitt State license plate holder, Dawn Glass. Dawn, this is coming your way. So congratulations to you. We have a Pitt State Online Constituent Relations cooler bag, and that is going to Vicki Harbor. Vicki Harbor, That will be coming your way. Vicki looks like she's in Lee Summit. Okay. Let's see here. George Dunham. George, you're in Alaska, my friend, and I've got a large Pitt State cutting board for you, sir. So that will
Thank you. That'll go with the small one that I got for homecoming.
Oh, now you've got a pair. They can keep each other company.
I do. Thank you.
Of course. Of course. How ironic. Okay, I've got a Pitt State Once a Gorilla, Always a Gorilla koozie with a pair of Pitt State sunglasses in it. And Jerry Heidenberg in Bellevue, Nebraska. That is coming your way, sir. And then last but not least, Betsy Lawrence is in Edgerton, Kansas. And Betsy, you're going to get another koozie with Pitt State sunglasses. So congratulations to you as well, Betsy Lawrence. So, okay. But remember, if you make it on campus, we've got many more of these goodies, and we're happy to give them to you because we're so excited to actually get to see people. So our office is open. Our office is open, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that things continue in the right direction. So any other burning questions for the evening before I let everybody go?
Hi, Jim Carlson.
Hi, Jim.
Ball Deli started in 1979, so you got 40 years.
It's been around a little longer than my memory served. Yes.
There you go.
They've expanded twice.
That is quite the place, quite the place. I think when we hear about alumni coming back to Pittsburgh, that is one of their favorite places. So I see a question from James and Melody. When is homecoming? And I'm double checking my calendar because I don't want to give you an incorrect date, but it is the 16th of October. Homecoming is the 16th of October. So, and like I said, fingers crossed, it's going to look a lot more like a normal homecoming than homecoming did last year. So we certainly hope to see lots of friends back here in Pittsburgh at that time.
Well, and also, John, I'll throw out there that the first home football game is September the 11th. That's Saturday night at 7 o'clock, and I think we're going to have a great turnout.
Everybody's excited. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Scott Casewell says, I'm getting another kid out the door and off. Scott's sending somebody our way. Yeah, send us your kids. Send us your kids.
I got one graduating on April 30th, so
Oh,
getting out of your guys' door. So,
but you got some more to send us, right, Scott?
it's going to be a few years, but
It's gonna be a few more years.
right now he thinks he's going to play football at Clemson, but we'll see after that. So,
When you all hang up, you can watch volleyball online for nothing.
Yes.
If you can't be there, they started at 7.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Yeah, Casey here.
Hi, Casey.
Hey, I saw Lois there, and then I saw that junior college shirt. You're talking to a Chanute Junior College back in the old days.
It's a small world.
Yep.
So I have to ask, somebody is logged in under 12424, and they said they're from the Bahamas, but I don't have a name. That's not you, Casey. You're not in the Bahamas, are you?
No. Scott won't let me go.
Okay. Well, we've got a mystery person.
It's
Well,
probably
friends,
those robo deals.
maybe so. Oh, okay. Outstanding. I figured out who it was. Very good. Okay. Well, friends, thanks again for taking time out of your evening. As Dr. Scott said, thank you for missing Wheel of Fortune for us tonight. I'm pretty sure this is a more engaging program.
This is very good. Very,
Good
very
deal.
good, John. You and Dr. Smith and the president have done an exceptionally good program.
Well, it's our pleasure. I think you can tell that all of us get fired up when we're around our alumni. And so we love our job and we love our alumni. So thank you again, everyone. It's great to see faces. Next time this summer, this fall, we certainly hope to see you in person.
Yeah.
We have a granddaughter graduating with the master's June 1.
Oh, outstanding.
Oh, my.
Outstanding. Congratulations.
No problem with Wheel of Fortune. I have a DVD.
There you go. There you go.
DVR.
You can get the best of both worlds, Herb.
I'm not missing.
All right, everyone. Well, hey, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. But certainly, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to our office. We're always here to help. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find it out for you.
Thanks for a great program.
Thanks again, everybody. And I can't let you go before we say this. Once a gorilla.
What's a gorilla?
Always the gorilla.
Thank you, friends.
Thanks,
Everybody
John.
Thank you, John.
Bye, George. Good to see you, sir.
Hey, Georgie.